We're out here at one of my favorite places to catch trout, Hagg Lake. And it's just a really good spot to come hang out for the day if you have the opportunity. And there's a number of different ways that we like to fish for them, for trout that is. But you can either troll for them, like a lot of boats that are out here today, they're trolling. I like to plunk, just old school, throw out a size 14, size 18 treble hook, 1 ounce of lead, and some power bait. Hard part is you got to find areas where the trout are actually migrating, where they're actually covering a little bit of ground or water, whatever you want to call it. So I got 4 different rods, 2 for me, 2 for my daughter. But we just made our first cast out, so we're just going to get everything baited up and see if we can get lucky. So stick around, we'll see if we can have some fun, and maybe you can learn something and come out here on your own. Yes, you see her. Okay, but go ahead. So when you get just...
When I cast, I let go of my finger, right?
Correct. So with power bait, this isn't tough, right? But there are a couple of tricks that can make it easier for you. When you grab out your bait, you just want to roll it up into a pretty solid ball, right? You don't want it to be coming apart or anything. You just want to have a nice round ball. The trick of it is, when you get that little treble hook into the dough ball, you want to pinch it up above the eye of the hook and above where the knot is. So it kind of looks like a little teardrop. It'll cast better, and then when it hits the water, it's less apt to come off. Sometimes it does it anyway, but most of the time, you know you're fishing, and it's just a good way to start. There's other ways to do it, of course, but at least for me, with that little shape in there, and of course, having a good towel, it'll help. Where the hell did it go?
I don't know.
Hold on, I think it went over here. So on pretty much all my rods, most of the time, I'm running 1 ounce egg sinker that you can see here. Usually it's 1 ounce, but I've always got one rod with 2 ounces on so that I can bomb it, cast it as far as I can, so that we're in not necessarily a number of different zones, but in different depths, right? So where my other rods are between 15 and 20 some odd foot roughly. And then this one, there's about a 40-foot shelf out there where it drops off to about 40 feet. I'm gonna bomb that one as far out there as I can and see if maybe they're out on the outside of that. And the only way you're gonna know that is if you got a fish finder, something that you can utilize, of course, to let you know what those depths actually are. But if you play that game a little bit, you can sometimes go from not catching them at all in the same spot, and then all of a sudden get it out there further, deeper water where they are traveling, and then all of a sudden you're getting bit again. And so far I've got 3 rods in the water and we haven't got a real bite yet. As far as rods go, you can pretty much use anything, right? Trout-wise, I like a longer rod when we're casting these baits, mainly because you can get longer casts, you can see the bites a little bit better, and everyone can use them. A lot of times everyone wants to use a real short rod. That works fine. And sometimes small kids, that's what they need in order to cast. But with this rod, 15-pound braid, and then a 6-pound leader, anybody can pretty much cast it. From a little kid to an adult can use this rod without any issue. Woo! Oh no, that may have been a little bit too far. Grass. This is your biggest concern when you're plunking for trout. So the question mark is, was I casting past the grass? And then when she reeled it in, then she got into the grass. So now we got to figure that out. So the trick to do that is now I'm going to make a little bit longer cast, and then I'll have to reel it in until I feel where I hit that grass. So if I can get past it, I'm good. If I'm in the middle of it, then I got to start lengthening my leader length to keep this floating bait above the grass so the trout can actually find it. And the next trick, if you're going to do this, is how you manage your line. You really don't want your line laying on the water, especially when it's windy like this. It makes the rod just constantly bounce and you just don't know if you're getting bit or not. So I'm gonna make sure that once it's on the bottom, that I just reel it up tight enough to where that line is going straight into the water and not laying on it where those wind waves can make that rod tip bounce around. So we'll just wait and see. I talked a little bit about how to bait up and this and that. One of the things that I forgot to mention, and I forgot to pay attention to myself, is you need to make sure that you got enough bait on the hook that it will float the hook. I dropped it back in the water just to see if that hook was floating, and it wasn't floating. What that means was my bait had hit the bottom and stayed there. The trout aren't feeding on the bottom. If it's not floating, you ain't fishing. So just like that.
There you go.
All right, so as you saw, we did do some fishing. Unfortunately, we didn't do any catching. That's why they call it fishing and not catching, I guess. We did give it a pretty good try. We tried a couple of different locations, but hopefully some of the tips that I gave you will help you. Number one thing that I would say that you want to take from anything that you saw today is it's all about location. If you can't find where the fish are, you're simply not going to catch them. And today, again, we tried a couple of spots, couldn't make it happen. So now we're just going to go for a quick little boat ride and then head home. And then maybe also hose out the boat. I got a lot of mud in here now. But I hope you enjoyed it. And get out, do some fishing yourself, and come up here to Hagg Lake. Trust me, it's worth coming here if you haven't been here before, let alone to go fishing. But you can go play around. Paddleboarding is a great place for it, kayaking, and it's just a really great place to go barbecue. So, I mean, it's just another really cool spot that you can go check out really close to home. Anyway, thanks for watching.